Thursday. It's definitely Thursday because Wednesday was yesterday, I think. So it must be Thursday today, which means it's just like Monday, but it's 3 days later. But we're still in. We are still in Zhuhai. We're still stuck here. We've been quarantined in China. Unfortunately, because of coronavirus, we've not been able to leave. So we're stuck here. So never mind. You're stuck with us. But the difference tonight is we're not going to have a sprint. Oh, no. It's sprinting's over. This is for the people who can last a bit longer. So it's a 1 hour. It's a 1 hour endurance. And if you can hear someone laughing in the background, it's my partner for this evening. And that's Mark, otherwise known as Ratek. Good evening.
Good evening, mate. How are you? You all right?
Yeah, not so bad. Thank you. Coping with life. Just about.
Yeah. As you say, we're going for the 1 hour endurance tonight. So it's people that can last and, take the race a little bit longer.
Like I say, after Monday's race, you're kind of looking at it and thinking, Kenny would be a foregone conclusion. But as you find out in these races, even in the sprint races, things can happen, can't they?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't rule out any of the guys. Roy showed great pace the other night in the sprint race. It puts him on second on the grid today, doesn't he? Yeah, so, he showed that he was just consistent, just banging in the laps. And anything can happen on that first couple of laps, when people are close together. So
there's a lot to be said for that. It's like, I can't remember now whether it was first race or second race. In fact, it might have been both of them, but you had people who might have thought they were going to finish not very well because of a poor start, but then ended up actually not doing badly whatsoever because of other things that happened during the course of the race. So you really, really don't know what's going to happen. They're all going to sit there on the start. They can be the, what can they be? The dirty half dozen?
Yeah.
Find a suitable name.
Obviously, their positions on the grid at the moment are the race results from the sprint race. That is basically qualifying into the endurance, and hopefully, we're going to have one formation lap, aren't we? Which people are going to settle into their grid positions, their start positions, should they say?
They certainly will. And we've got 4 people watching, of which one of them's me.
and another one's me, so...
probably another one's Kyle, and then maybe somebody else is in there. But if you are watching and you're not actually racing and you're not actually doing anything else, stick something up in the chat. You know you want to. Say hello to us. We don't bite. Well, we do, but it's not that bad, honestly. You won't be hospitalised with it and you won't get rabies. So other than that, it's okay. But... At the moment, they're probably just doing their last-minute things and putting in far too much fuel, as you can probably see.
I was just checking out myself, and it's interesting to see, isn't it, on what sort of fuel ratios people are planning to use. I mean, Roy, if that's his setup that's locked and loaded, it seems to be a lot lower at the moment than other people. So whether he's going for a split strategy and refuel at the pit stop, because a mandatory pit stop is
that would have been my next thought. That was my next thought as you were saying what you were saying, to think, is it worthwhile? I mean, I know what I do tyres-wise in this game, which I know some people think is weird, but it's probably well documented for those that know me. I tend to go for a longer race like this, if the track temp, and somebody had said, I'm sure the track temp's about 30 odd degrees C. So I think it's in the upper 90s Fahrenheit in old money. So it's got a potential to be a bit burny on the old tyres without being crazy, but it's got a potential to. So what I tend to do is put a hard on the front left on the clockwise circuit, which this is, and the other 3 would be softs. And if you manage the tyres okay, you can get round on the one set. But so you could fuel for the full race and just basically just do a stop go, which is like 5.7 second pits. Or you could change your tyres, maybe start off on hards, maybe go on softs for the second part of the race. Things like that. Ooh, everyone's slowing down. I thought they were supposed to be doing like 60 miles an hour, but hey, since when did that matter? Oh, they're speeding up now. They might have just been waiting for everybody to come around. I want to see if anyone does a spin while warming up their tyres like last week.
I was going to say, I always find that working the brakes on this formation lap can generate a lot of heat as well.
Yeah, that's what I do. I don't do my swerving. I just ride the brakes. I overfuel and ride the brakes.
You can see the two Matsutsi brothers, Ali and Matsutsi, at the starting at the back of the grid this time because unfortunately they had heavy contact, didn't they? And
they had a bit of a nightmare,
not with each other, but obviously the cars I think were pretty much undrivable, so they retired to the pits. So it's going to be interesting to see how them pair come through this pack if they can.
Yeah, it's there to do. I mean, in an hour, they've got. It's not as if it's a sprint race. They've got time to, I mean, whether they choose to be patient. I know that's not in their DNA, being Italian, but it really isn't in Italians' DNA to be patient. not that it is for any of us, to be honest, but less so for the Italians. They tend to have a reputation for being rather fiery. So if you're listening to this, guys, fire away. But yeah, it will be interesting because they won't want Kenny to get too far away, and that's
that's the thing, isn't it? Is trying to get through a pack. If that's your aim, to work your way from the back to the front, is you don't want that leader to get away. That's what gives you the incentive. That incentive. But I think they're coming round. They're going to be get into formation now.
Hopefully it'll just slow down a little bit. They should be staggered a bit, which I can see the front two are. It looks like they're in formation. It's like the red arrows, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a nicely constructed grid there. But I think they're underway. I can see the revs have gone up.
Yeah, and the speed's gone up. Well, which you'd hope so. But I don't think Roy was trying to do anything there with Kenny. I think it'll just be interesting to see. I think everyone wants to get. Oh
no! I think he's diving to try and get some cleaner air, isn't he? To have a look. But
at first, I thought he'd lost it a little bit. Yeah.
He's on the outside of K9 now, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, he did the right thing there, Kyle. He did the right thing. He could see him coming, and he's basically got his elbows out, which is what he's entitled to do. Block that pathway. He just wants to stay out of trouble this time. Contact!
Just see a little tag there, but that was...
You know what? I think he caught the back of G32 Turbo.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
He does. I hope
that's put some back, both a little bit further back now, and might hopefully not picked up too much damage. But
no, it was just a little tap on the back. Poor old Tony, bless him. He is like a crash magnet. He seriously is.
Yeah.
He's the only person I know who's worse than me. But the thing that I liked about that, and I'll call it out when I see it, good sportsmanship. He waited.
Yeah.
He waited for Tony to get back on track and actually gave him quite a bit of distance. And I do like that. Accidents do happen. We're not pros. We like to think we are, don't we? But we're not. And
I was going to say, I mean, like Tony, he's not too far behind K9 now, and obviously he's got the two brothers behind him. One's gone out well wide there.
Was
no!
Was that a disconnection? It says left the session now.
Yeah. Well, it said disconnection on my screen.
Did it? It says left the session.
That's unfortunate. Unfortunate for Ali.
Unless he really did have. I don't know. Was he the one that caught the back of Tony? Because he might have come off. He might have come worse off. I can't remember which one of them was. It was that caught him. But unfortunately, if that is a disconnection, then hey, unfortunate that. But
yeah, it definitely is.
Hopefully he'll jump on air.
He's
made inroads, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's caught up to the back of Tony quite a bit there.
But he is quite quick in these cars. They both were. They both are, to be fair. In truth, Tony will do well to hold him off, but it'll be good. And I always think I'm sure Tony doesn't mind me saying this. He's in the same bracket as me. We're both getting a little bit longer in the tooth. We both don't have reactions as good as we used to have. But
I think
Kyle, Roy, that was Kenny.
No, Kenny. Yeah, Kenny had a moment. I saw the times decreasing, and Roy is into first place now. So Kenny must have had a moment coming out of that corner, and K9's all over the back of him.
Yeah, he's going to sit at the back of Roy here, which is, again, you don't know what's going to happen, do you? This is in the first couple of laps, and it's like I always say, if I'm racing, I really, really don't go 100% for about the first 3 or 4 laps, because I think it takes that long for your tyres to settle. I really do.
And just get a general feel for the car and bring up that lap speed slowly and progressively. And K9's just been caught out by the braking of Roy, but major dramas. Luckily, both guys pull away from that.
Well, we did. I think, you know what? I think Roy might have had a little bit of wobble. I get the benefit of watching the replay a few seconds after, so I get to look at it with fresh eyes. And it like Roy really did stop, but it looked as if he kind of thought he was going to lose it and then just hit the anchors a bit, and I think that caught Kyle right out, which it would most people, to be fair.
I think Kyle K9 there, he's looking hungry to try and take this lead away from Roy, isn't he? And
he's got the run here.
He's got a run here, but he's going to be on the outside for this next corner. So who's going to be the bravest one? Roy's holding his inside line there.
And does he go switch on the next one? No, it's too.
I don't think he's carrying much speed, is it? There, enough speed. But
that's the thing. If you defend well enough there, you'll be okay. And again, you can
see Matsuzi is already on the back of Kenny.
Yeah.
So Matsuzi's flying at the moment.
I mean, again, something that I wish we could have on here graphic-wise, another thing to add to everything, is to see if anyone's carrying any damage. I wouldn't assume that Kenny was, because I didn't see him contact anything. However, just because we didn't see him contact anything doesn't mean that he did. Or didn't.
No.
So we got some little battles here. Obviously, at the moment, G32 is about 2 or 3 seconds off the back of them, but he's by no means out of the picture. And if he just keeps churning the laps out, even though his lap time is 46.6, there's not much in them all apart from Matsuzi.
Matsuzi seems to be on fire at this stage of the race, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's into the groove.
Roy's got less fuel than anyone, so we're expecting him to refuel at a pit stop. Yeah, so
what's Kyle carrying? Because he normally, if anything, doesn't he? Yeah, I thought
87,
he was. Yeah.
So that's probably enough to complete the race, I'd say. But he's looking again for this inside line. I think he's.
But can he hold it now? Yeah, he's tried. Yeah, he's done the right thing there. But I still don't think he'll hold it. I still think he'll get beat into the next corner.
I don't know. He's going to have the inside line for this next corner. So if he can hold this position, he's looking good. And
like Roy's going to try and come off
again.
Yeah, but if Kyle holds it, he'll do all right here. Which is what?
Comes out wide, but
the car muscle would have been twitching. He would have been twitching then. One rear tyre on the curb. But he's thinking, oh my God, I'm going to die now. But in fairness, he held it pretty well.
But the person to look at the moment is Matsuzi. You can see he's broken away from Kenny just there in the background, and he's reeling these boys in. So
he's in the groove. He's in the groove early.
Yeah, whether now K9 has broke away from Roy and just being able to drive his own line, whether he's going to have the same pace as Matsuzi, be able to keep it in front.
Well, we'll be able to see in the next laps. I mean, that was a 1:44 he's done. Roy's 45.9. What's Matsuzi? 42.9. Kenny 44.5 and Tony 46.1. There's not huge disparity. Take Matsuzic out of the lap times, and there's sod all really. Couple of seconds at most between best and worst, and that's no disrespect to anybody. I think if we had 13, 14 people on the grid, I think you'd have quite a close race going on here, because it would be quite the spread of people, different obviously abilities. I think we'd have a decent race going on for everybody. There would be competition for everyone. The less people you've got, obviously the more spread out it can become. But again, Monday showed that not always the case.
No, definitely not. You can see they're all grouped together at this point of the race, all pretty much in the same area on the track map.
Yeah, or by 10 seconds. I mean, even at this point, you know, we're sort of 12 minutes in. So in that respect, it's you know, it's not a case of everything's, you know, really spread massively out. I mean, this is where Matsucic is going to have his problem if Roy can hold him off. Because obviously lap time is the fastest guy in the track by, you know, good 1 and a bit seconds to the next best time. So he's obviously the quickest boy on track right now.
He's carrying a lot more speed down this straight already, isn't he?
Yeah, he'll probably he's done it already.
Past, yeah.
What's he carrying fuel-wise? I didn't look, if I'm honest. Is he carrying 80 something?
83,
yeah, he was, yeah. So, yeah, Roy's definitely looking to fuel. So he might have been gambling on the fact of, can I gain, starting on the front row, can I gain a gap? And then, obviously, to make up for the fueling. I don't think they fuel at the same time as tyres in this classification. To be honest, I can't remember. some of them do, some of them don't, and I can't remember for this classification.
Now this unleashes Matsucci, doesn't it? Just chasing in K9, and looking there, Matsucci had a big moment. Yeah, big moment there, but
look at Kyle's last lap time.
Last lap time, but then Matsucci was following Roy for a little bit of it.
Yeah. But that's giving Kyle a bit of
I think it could be close between them two, yeah. And Kyle just needs to nail these laps now and try and maintain as much time in that distance, isn't it, in front.
Just don't make a mistake. I know that's easier said than done. I mean, it's easy as pie to sit in here and say that. Because you've only got to do one momentary thing and just lose concentration for a brief point something of a second, and oops, oh dear, you've just gone wide and lost 3 seconds.
I mean, he's not pulling away from Roy massively on this one lap, and then you can see Kenny's just gaining now.
Yeah, he's starting to pull
the back of Roy. It's kind of surprised me with Kenny. Like normally he's solid.
Yeah, from the
all
start.
the way through. Yeah, and there must just be something.
He did this Monday.
Track.
He did this Monday, though.
It was either the track or the car setup that he hasn't quite dialed in completely.
Yeah, it took him a little while to get going, and I think circumstances obviously played a part in the race as well with what happened with obviously the two brothers. That sort of came into it as well a little bit, but in truth, it ended up being processional for him on the Monday race, so it's kind of surprising that not brought that into this, as you were alluding to earlier.
Yeah, and Tony there, he's looking comfortable now. He's found a rhythm, and his lap time is bang on with anybody else, really.
That's
what
I mean. So I think it's just a case of getting who gets into the groove quicker.
Yeah.
I mean, again, like I don't know whether Tony's carrying any damage. If he is, he might have some slight damage on the rear, because obviously he did take a bit of a shunt. From
I always think rear damage doesn't affect you as much as front end, does it? If you know what I mean. I've never really.
In some cars, it's horrible, but in something like this, it is. It's seriously horrible in some cars. But,
right.
But in truth, because you're steering from the front, that tends to be. You know, you want to have the turn in going into a corner. The last thing you want is understeer going into corners, because then that's going to cost you a lot of speed.
You can see K9 there, his last lap time was 1:42.8, so he's just coming across the line now. He's banging in 1:42.8. That's good consistency. If he can keep that 5, so yeah, I mean.
But it's staying around the 3.5 second mark, around the start finish.
If K9 can just bang in them laps repetitively like that, it's going to take Matsucci a fair few laps to reel him in.
Yeah, if it's only 0.3...
It's hard to get past, isn't it? You know, if you haven't got a massive difference in pace.
The interesting thing will be, depending on... I mean, in this game, it's easy to make a complete hoo-ha of your pit strategy, so hopefully nobody's done that. But the interesting thing will be who pits first, who blinks first for the pit stop. And I'm meaning this from a strategy perspective, not just from who goes for does does Carlo go for the undercut and try and do it that way, just a quick splash, dash and out? Or does Kyle sort of go, you know what, I know I've got clean air here, but I'm going to give that up. Me personally, if I'm leading, I ain't giving it up. Let the guy behind me try and go for an undercut if he wants to.
Yeah.
So you don't want to give up clean air, do you? Let's be honest.
No, that's what I mean. He's got the stronger position on track, hasn't he? And I don't think, even with a pit stop, it wouldn't drop K9 into any unclean air. It would, nobody
he'd still
on
have a clear track. He might be last, but he'd have a clear track.
But then you're still, like, at the moment, K9's got a visual reference of where Matsuti is.
Yeah.
Where if he dives into the pits, you're literally looking at the timing screen, and that can distract you from what's in front of you, can't it?
Just keep your face going forward. Keep your eyes on the road. It is. But it can be distracting because you're looking at it and you're going, oh, has he pitted yet? Oh, has he done? Is he? You know that de facto, if you pitted and nobody else has, you are the de facto leader. But you're sat there trying to look at that, and the more you concentrate on that, the less you concentrate on what you're actually supposed to be doing, which is driving a bloody car around the track. And that's when you make a mistake and mess it all up. Oh, just as Roy did there.
Just ran wide onto that dirty section. So he's got to bear that in mind, that coming down to this next hard braking area, he's going to have slightly dirty tyres. But he does that nice and clean.
Kenny's kind of there, but doesn't appear to be making huge inroads. The front two now seem to be pushing that gap out between first and third.
Yeah, just breaking away that little bit each lap.
At the moment, anyway. I mean, what's Kenny carrying? 68. So I assume he's fueled for the race, because looking at that, we're just coming up to the 20-minute mark, so we're just coming up to a third the way through. Oh,
just Kenny ran wide. Didn't unscathe him too much, but he's dropped 2 tenths already on this to his previous best lap, hasn't he?
Yeah. It's one thing that is kind of forgiving about this track, which is surprising being in China. But the runoff areas, you haven't got too many walls too close. You're unlucky if you come off like here.
Like Kenny's diving for the pits already, so whether he has got a little bit of damage, which he's thinking, right, I'll get that repaired and see where we can bang in some laps.
Or is he thinking, I'll go in and fuel early, get my tyres early, maybe change to softs if he's gone out on hards or something. Again, we can't see what tyres they've got, so you don't know. I mean, if this is only a 5 or 6 second, no, it's a stop go. Oh no, it's not. They're repairing damage now.
Yeah, they always put that lollipop up early visually to us, even though to him it'll still be down, won't it?
Yeah, it's up to him. It's up for him as well, technically. But they've done everything else. It's just damage now.
Right.
Which is a bit daft. So I just take it when the lollipop goes up. If the car doesn't pull away, they've got damage.
Okay, so he has picked up some major damage. So that we saw that one incident where we cut the tail end of it. So whether he had picked up, glanced the wall or something before that, not too sure. But he's away now. So.
Unless that was a tyre change, because a tyre change might be about 15, 16 seconds, and it was close on. It was close on to that. But again, if he's put fresh boots on now, he should be able to wrap some decent laps out. Because if I remember, he did that last time.
I would never rule him out.
Oh, no, Christ, no, it'd be foolish.
In that situation, if he's coming out with a fully repaired car now, I think we keep an eye on his lap time. I think he'll be nailing
Might get into the ones later on once we're getting towards the latter part. The only other thing, again, this is where you've got to guess at strategy, which is a bit annoying. I know I keep repeating this, but obviously, if he has changed tyres, he will make gains in the next 10, 20 minutes. But then the other people who then go, if they go and put fresh boots on too, then he'll be on older tyres that have done an extra 10, 15 laps, and they'll be coming out on fresh booties. So it's what you play with strategy-wise, and that's what I like. I do like strategy. I like racing with strategy. But I wish we had more
racing,
info.
Isn't it? It's a big part of it.
And I wish we as broadcasters had this information to hand, because it would make it so much better for us to see what strategies people are doing. And obviously, instead of guessing at what we think people might be doing, we'd have a bit more evidence to back up the thought process, and at least that way it'd make it more interesting for people watching too.
Definitely.
Hopefully. Yeah, we'd have all the graphics on like they do on certain TV program with F1 and things like that. But yeah, maybe one day, eh? But in the meantime, Matsucic is 1.5 seconds at this point. It'd be interesting to see what they are passing the start-finish line, which won't be too long. But that'll be interesting.
He's ever so creeping onto the back of K9 there, which I mean, K9's still holding his good rhythm. He seems to have found a comfortable rhythm with his car, and I think he's up on his lap time on this one. Comes across the line now. I think he's going to drop into the 142s again. Yeah,
42.8 and Watts 42.5.
42.5. So
Matsucic was slightly slower on that lap, and Kyle was slightly faster. So he must have gained a tad more on him previously, because it was 3.5 seconds about 3 or 4 laps back. So he did gain a little bit, and then maybe lost a little bit. Hey, it works both ways, doesn't it? You can't metronome them out perfectly. Yeah. We'd all like to, I'm sure, but.
I mean, like, once Matsucci catches up to the back of K9, he's got to really apply the pressure to make K9 make a mistake, because at them differences per lap time, it's going to be hard to make a move, pull a move on him, isn't it? Their braking points are pretty much identical, and
if he gets his elbows out, it makes it difficult. The question is, for me, I mean, there's time remaining 37. Do you want to pit this early? I know Kenny has, but he might have been kind of forced into that a little bit. Or even if he's had a small amount of damage, it still would be enough to make inroads into what his times could be. So he might have just thought, you know what, get it fixed. There's still plenty of time left in the race for me to try and get back. He's having a look. I think he had a look there. I think he was trying to call.
Did, yeah.
I think he tried to call Kyle's bluff.
At what point do you think Matsucci turns his lights on? That's the.
I'm surprised they're not on already.
That's the big moment, isn't it? You know,
I thought he'd have had one already. I mean, I know one of the other guys in one of the other groups who's also happens to be called Kenny, but no relation to this one. But as soon as he was kind of like there, his lights would be flashing. He would be flashing about you.
Just looking down now. I mean, you mentioned Kenny. Look at his lap time.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
41.6.
And he's banging them in, so he's...
He must have had some damage. I know he was still pushing out quite good lap times anyway, but they weren't where we thought they were expecting to be. But again, he's come a cropper early doors by going out hard, and I don't think the tyres are ready. Oh, that's a bit of...
Matsucci runs wide there.
But that shows he's trying to push it now. You know what? If I was Kyle, I'd maybe, if I can hold him for another lap or two, if possible. It might not be able to hold it for a couple of laps, to be honest. I'd consider pitting at this point. Because he's going to try and go, and he's going to go for it here.
He's coming around the outside.
But whether he can hold, he's going to have to go. He's going to look for the switchback. So what Kyle's going to have to do is hold that line, which he did, to slow Matsucic down, so he doesn't have the impetus. He doesn't carry the speed through the second part of that corner to come back at him, which is exactly what I think Matsucic was doing the other night.
Ali and Ali was and Matsucic were having a big battle, weren't they?
And that's the way to do it. Just hold that line. Doesn't necessarily have to be racing line per se, because you can still overtake somebody who's on the racing line. He's gone for the undercut now. I saw him in the corner. Yeah, I saw him in the corner of my eye going in, because I think he looked at it and thought, you know what? If I go and get fresh boots now, I'm giving myself a little bit of a chance to get past. From Kyle's point of view, I'll see if he gets fresh boots, or whether it's just a quick stop go. Because literally he's not leaving, so he's having tyres. He's definitely having tyres.
Might have had a little bit of damage. He did have he shunted, I think it was Tony G32.
Yeah, he did.
on that the first couple of laps. So you might just be having a quick repair. And that'd be another thing. I can't think whether K9 had any damage, so his pit stop in general should be quicker.
Yeah, I don't think he did.
That could play a massive part, but
that's longer than a set of tyres. That might be some repair, because that's longer than a set of tyres.
Kenny there is banging in the 141. So these guys like Matsuzi and K9, whether they can pick it up on track like that, they probably don't look down at 5th place.
Oh, not yet. But once everyone's pitted, then you'll start to get a.
I mean, Matsuzi, he's just crawling out the pit lane now, but Kenny's coming down there flat out.
I think he's either, again, we don't know. He's either had tyres plus a bit of damage, or he's not had tyres and had a reasonable amount of damage. I think it's the first. I think he's had tyres plus a little bit of damage.
Yeah.
That's
so
then
that also, a deciding factor is basically what's Matsuzi's lap time's going to be now relevant to Kenny. Is Kenny going to be reeling him in for the rest of this race, or?
Well, he might have looked at Kenny's lap times and thought, you know what, if I don't go in now, my lap times are going to struggle more. The more that I'm wearing these tyres, and the more that I'm going around with a little bit of damage. Assumption, I know, but probably not far off the mark.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at it like this, because you think Kenny's only 4 or 5 seconds off him. Is he 4 or 5 seconds off him? Yeah. Yeah. And so you look at that and you think, the lap times Kenny's doing now, if that were to transpose across, even if Matsuzic was doing 42s, Kenny's doing 41 and a halves. So he would expect to whittle that 5 seconds down at least within the next 5 laps. So, and there's plenty of time after that. So that's those two. The main thing is, like, Kenny's a minute and 5 seconds behind Kyle. And obviously that's what him and Matsuzic needs to look at. The total pit stop time. So this might make Kyle make a choice that he might not have ordinarily wanted, because he might look at that and think, I'm going to stay out for as long as I can, which it wouldn't surprise me if he does that, because his lap times are still okay.
Yeah, if he's in no damage and he's comfortable, he might as well just stay out there as long as he can, hasn't he?
Yeah, until the lap times start dropping. As soon as those lap times start dropping, don't waste time. Come straight in at that point.
He's gone past the pit time, so he's showing no signs at the moment, is he? To
see what the lap time is. Come on. Okay, 0.3 slower.
Yeah.
So, but again, not terrible. So he might think, I'll stay out for another. Maybe he wants to go half and half. I don't know. But in terms of fuel, that's obviously not going to be an issue. He's certainly not going to need that. So,
but then to also kind of like, if I was in Kyle's situation now, and I don't know, it's difficult.
This is where the questions, they forced him. They forced this thought.
I'd be in this situation, I'd think, right, have I got any damage? That's the first thing to process. Maybe not. That's what we're thinking.
Yeah, I don't think he has. I think he's
and clean. Then you have a couple of laps and they've pitted. Okay, do I try and get back out in front of them and battle them on track rather than letting them realistically have clean air to bang in these lap times?
But also they've got to fight each other. If you look at it another way, at the moment he's got a perfectly clean track.
Matsuzi is basically matching him now, Kenny, on pace.
Yeah, they're pretty close, them two. Kenny's slightly quicker, but in truth, Kenny's tyres, again, whether it plays a part towards the end of the race, we don't know. But again, if we had a graphic, we would. but if, from the perspective that Kenny's tyres are a few laps older, so you'd expect his tyres to drop off sooner. However, that also depends on how much he's pushing. So how much extra wear he's giving those tyres. I mean, if he catches up, once he catches up to Matsuzic, then those two are going to battle. So that should help Kyle, theoretically, if I'm Kyle, he's got 56 seconds on Matsucic. He's got 1:01 on Kenny. I know Roy's in second, 15 seconds behind him, but Roy will have to pit too. So the thing for me, from Kyle's perspective, from K9's perspective, is do you and I would do but do you just go in, do a stop go, 6.2 seconds and out? So hopefully your pit's over in like 30 odd 40 seconds, including running down pit lane, in and out, etc., etc. So you come out with 15-20 seconds of lead still intact, certainly from Matsucic and Kenny, but you've got older tyres and gamble on holding those tyres holding out. Or do you go in and match them, but come out potentially behind them?
Yeah.
I'd go for A, because I want to stay in front. Track position's everything.
Exactly.
And that's why I think I'd go
visually. Yeah, visually I'd rather race someone than time kind of.
Yeah, it's easier to think, you know what, I'm in front. I'd rather, you want to stay in front for as long as I can.
Yeah.
Until you've got to come in until when if the tyres do start to come off, then that'll be a different thing altogether. But other than that, he could stay out for the whole time, knowing he could do a splash and dash on, the penultimate lap.
I was going to say, we'll just have a quick run, see who's doing what on fuel. So Kenna's got plenty enough, I reckon, to
easily
to finish the race. Roy there, he's definitely going to have to come in and take that fuel deficit to finish.
I would have thought
the race,
so.
Isn't he?
I would have thought so.
Tony, quite possibly enough. He might have a pit strategy that has a couple of litres, but I think that should be enough. Looking at halfway through, and he's still got 47 litres, so I'd say he's got enough.
So he should do a short pit stop. Obviously, we know he's already with 58 when he's already pitted anyway, and obviously so's Kenny. So I think everybody but possibly Roy. I mean, unless I don't know what again literage per lap. All this info would be really good. Please, give us this on the next proper version of this game, please. We'd like a proper broadcasting suite. It'd be epic. It really, really would. It would.
I mean, like considering how many people stream from this game.
That's what these games are for, aren't they? Let's be honest. Yeah.
It definitely deserves that level of.
You want it to be as professional as you can make it. I mean, we can surmise, yes, we can, guess or have educated guesses, if we dare say it in those terms, because you know how you think yourself, and anyone else who either does sim racing or watches it or whatever will know where we're coming from on this. But they're all realistic strategies that people might do, because you look at what you would do in this given situation. But imagine you're Kyle. You think you're Kyle. You're watching the times. He goes a bit wide there. You're watching these times, and you're thinking, no, you will be keeping an eye on it. I don't care what anyone says. You will be keeping an eye on it, because you will know who's pitted and what not, and you will know what's what from the timings. So he'll know that the back two have definitely been in the pits, and he'll probably guess they've had fresh boots, considering how far behind him they are. So again, he will be telling himself, if you're him and you've got that lead, what are you thinking? Are you thinking, do I go for fresh tyres, or do I try and see it out? Try and manage them?
Wouldn't, I mean, looking at his lap times at this stage of the race, at this point now, I'd be thinking, I want to be in them pits and back out as quickly as possible. And,
and he's still doing the laps, though, isn't he? So, I mean, his lap times are still good. So, in that respect, I mean, again, look at Carlos. He's done 42.2. Kenny's done 41.4, so he's the fastest man on track. Kyle's still done under 43s, so he's still maintaining his pace. He's into it. Yeah. He's found himself a nice little metronome. He might not be the fastest guy out there, but he's churning out pretty decent lap times.
Yeah.
So the others have got, what are we per lap? Well, let's say 140 if we were going off that for ease of numbers, and you've got like 24 minutes left. So you've got 3 laps in 5 minutes. So you've got 13 laps left, let's say. Just over 13 laps left, maybe 14. And you're thinking, if they're only a second faster than him, if he keeps churning this number out, at the most they're 1 to 1.5 seconds quicker. So if that's 13 or 14 times 1.5, you're at 21. So in terms of seconds, that gives Kyle realistically about a 30-second buffer. If they, by the end of the race, so he would realistically have a 30-second buffer that he would have to manage to the end of the race, with them going that bit faster. So if he doesn't change tyres, that is. Sorry if I've lost you with a bit of science there, but that's how my brain works. I've got to say it that way. But I
was going to say, science, maths, mate, you've lost me, but hopefully the viewers can understand you. I just agree with you. But
that's how it pans out, because I'm looking at the relative lap times to where it is, and I look at look at Matsucic now, for example, 41.4 he just put down.
It's good lap time, that was.
Kyle did 43.5, so his pace... We'll see what his next... Right, I was just going to say...
Kyle is in the pits,
I was just going to say his lap time's just dropped off, so it'd be interesting to see if he pits now or next. So, but is he just going to do...
Hopefully it's a quick one for him. Hopefully he hasn't got too much damage. Lolly pops up. What is he doing?
He could be changing tyres then, if that's the case. Because he would be out. He would already be out by now. It's 6.2 seconds.
Roy goes into the lead. He's out, so he hasn't changed tyres. I reckon that was damage.
No, that's not tyres. Because tyres, I'm sure, is like 16 seconds, unless I've got it really, really wrong. But
so that's Tony there. So he's going to come out quite a bit ahead.
Yeah, he's still going to... The thing for me is, where is he in relation to Matsucic and Kenny? And forget Roy for the minute. I know.
On them.
See what I mean? We're about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
See, my maths does work.
Fair dues.
And that's what he's got to try and manage between now and the end of the race. I don't think that's a tyre change, unless a tyre change is really quick in these cars.
Yeah.
I think it's about 16 seconds, because I'm sure... So I don't think he's changed boots at all. So he's got to manage them. So I think his lap times are not going to be as fast as the other two. So the gamble is they've got to reel him in.
But at a slow rate, because he was banging in consistent 143s.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If he can still do 43, even 44s as they degrade a little worse toward the end of the race, it could make for a pretty interesting finish. Roy could make it an even more interesting finish if he goes in and does a splash and dash. Because if he does a splash and dash, he will gain a bit of time. If he just literally does a stop-go. But he was running... He's only running 26 litres.
26 litres.
And if there's, 10, 12 laps left, you've got to be running at more than 2 litres a lap, surely. He must be running more than 2 litres a lap.
Yeah.
So for
just
me...
Looking at that now, we'll just follow him. So that was
just
25.7 as he went pretty much over the line. We'll just bear that in fact.
Yeah.
See what
It'd be interesting to see what he comes around with for the next one. Because I would have thought he'd be coming round. I would have thought it might be 2.5, 2.7 litres a lap or something like that. 'Cause it's quite a long track, isn't it?
I would say that he's not redlining it in every gear.
No,
he's
he
short shifting.
Yeah, he's managing it.
He's driving conservative for his fuel strategy.
He's basically changing sometimes in sort of 5,000, somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 revs, isn't he? He's not really thumping. Yeah. He's not really screwing the you-know-what off it. What's the better word?
Bouncing the red line. Bouncing the red line, I know what you mean.
I know. I mean, I do. Most of these cars in this game, I pretty much... there's one or two that have got sort of very different power bands, but the majority of the cars, if you watch a lot of the faster guys do redline most of these gears.
Yeah, it's not my engine. I don't have to pay for it.
Exactly.
You're having it, mate. Yeah. Make it scream.
Yeah, I'm going to destroy all the valves, pistons, rods, you name it. It's all going to go. Your drive shaft, well, forget it. It's going to look like a bent drain pipe by the time it's finished. And that's bent as in it's not straight, not as in like queer, okay? Just before anyone gets any ideas, we're not going down that road. Well, not today anyway. We're going down this one in China. But yeah, I'm looking at the times again. 44. So what's he done?
25.7.
Oh, actually, yeah. You know what?
8.
You know what? It is just under 2 litres a lap. He might do, you know.
Yeah. If he's driving, he's already driving conservative.
Might do.
So he's.
Or if he does, I think he's obviously holding out, isn't he? He's obviously not going to pit because he's now got track position and he's now got the question that Kyle had before.
Kenny's considerably onto the back of Matsuti a lot.
But is this going to help Roy or Kyle?
Kenny,
he just had a bit of a
big moment there. Yeah.
I think he ran a bit wide, which obviously he's trying to carry the speed through, so he needs to do that. However, there's a fine line between running a little bit wide or putting too much rubber onto dirt and grass, which means...
And we know that is a bad corner. It's a high-speed corner. It can drag you right across the other side of the track and back into the
basically,
pit wall,
it drags me over. It drags me over to the grandstand.
Yeah.
I've done that a couple of times in open wheel cars when I come around that corner too wide. In a Formula Renault 3.5 to be precise. But yeah, I go wide on that, and it's even if you turn the wheel to the right, it doesn't matter. You're going left.
Yeah.
But
and with this battle now, this occurring, Kenny just having a big oversteer moment there.
He's trying to force it now a bit.
K9 in front of these guys on track at his pit stop.
That
he's got to use this time.
Seconds.
Yeah, he's got to use this time now to kind of like just bang in them consistent laps.
It's gonna be. I mean, he's still doing around the 43, still managing to do around that. But obviously, because he's on the older boots, not going to be matching these, and it will be an interesting last 2 or 3 laps because they will be up and around him. Again, if Roy follows, mind you, to be honest, there's only Roy's lap times have started to drop off now. I think his tyres is. I think he's not managed them.
Yeah. To 30 seconds back to these pair.
So Roy might come out well back from Kyle. He'd probably come back in 4th. I think he stayed out too long. I think his tyres have dropped off too much. But I think the pressure of being out front and having that question to answer: do I come in or do I stay? I think he's made the wrong call. Yeah. I get why he stayed out perfectly. I understand that. Because even if he does a rapid pit now, I can't see him coming out in front of Matsucic. I cannot see him coming out. He won't be in and out in 27 seconds. It ain't going to happen.
No,
I don't think. But again, yeah, it's I'm there to be proved wrong.
Matsucci puts his lights on there.
Oh, Kenny's got him. He's got it.
He's gone for the upside.
No. He nearly outbraked himself. Kenny was braking into that corner then, I reckon. I'm just going to watch the replay. Are his lights on? I can't tell. But he had a bit of a skid coming out, so that's why I wondered if he was trying to just brake a little more to hold the corner. Because that little skid actually helped him. Because it waved his bottom around and meant that Carlo... well saved. Well saved. I'm going to give him... I'm watching that again now. I am literally going to give him a round of applause for that.
I was going to say that was an epic moment, an epic catch, because that would have been a high speed off.
That was a good catch. Because he really did. He didn't quite go horizontal, but he went about 80 or so degrees. He went pretty close to going horizontal there, and so he must have turned that full lock in and hoped for the best, and it worked. And he didn't lose too much time, bless him for that. But Roy is still staying out.
K9's there, just banged in a 141.9, so he shows that his tyres, when he can still pull a perfect lap together, can't he?
Who's he with? So like I say, unless he did change tyres and the tyre change is much quicker, but I don't think it is. I'm just annoyed that we don't know for 100% fact because we can either sound really, really intelligent or stupid, depending on.
No, I mean, we can't give anyone this information. So if we just say that we know what we're on about, and K9 never changed tyres, nobody will know any difference, mate. So
This is true. This is true. I mean, we're just doing our best guesstimate, aren't we? We're just trying to give an insight.
It's what you said before. It's from our racing experience and what we see. Timing and stuff like that we can just try to analysis the kind of
you just try and put your own thought process into it and think, what would I do here? What do I think is likely to have happened here, given where we are? I mean, again, Roy now 43.8. It's still not a bad time, but you look at like Kyle's, he did put in a like 43.2. Okay, but he's still consistently around. He's not worse than 43. I don't think he's done a lap worse than 43 in the whole race, apart from at the very beginning. As Roy, do you see Roy's rear end there?
Yeah, just let go, didn't it?
Yeah, I think he's not struggling per se, but obviously those tyres have degraded somewhat. But I think he has to go full race with them now. The choice was made once he'd hit like the 40-minute mark, and those timings of the other guys gaining on him. See, it was 30 seconds before, it was 20 seconds. Now he's looking at 23, 24 seconds. The longer he stays out, the more time he's losing.
Yeah.
No matter what. So he might as well go in and pit and at least have track position. That's why I think I think he would have been better. His choice was slightly different to Kyle. I think he needed to have track position, because if you come out on more worn tyres and you don't have track position, it's not as if you can even defend, can you? You've got to try and fight to get the pace back on knackered tyres. Not going to work. Yeah. I know it's easier, like I say, it's easy to sit here and strategise and all that. I haven't got to try and navigate corners at 120 mile an hour. As Tony just had a little bit of a wobble there, but again, like I say, his lap times, you can't be unhappy with them. Right, Roy's gone in. See, I don't think he'd be much in front of Tony now. I don't think he's going to be much in front of Tony unless this is a literal 5.7 seconds stop-go. That's the only way he's going to come out fourth, is if he does that. Yeah, he has.
Yeah. Fair play. So he's just going to come out behind these battling pair of Kenny and Matsushita, isn't he?
Yeah. And that's going to... And they've got fresher boots than him, so he's got no chance whatsoever of catching them. Unless... And no, we wouldn't want it to happen, but unless... something were to happen with the battle between those two. But again, the strategy, I'll be a monkey's uncle if Kyle hasn't followed the strategy that I said. Because it seems to have borne out, whether that's by hook or by crook, but it seems to have borne out to what I said. But the one thing that I don't know for definite is whether you could do a full tyre change in 8 seconds, or it was just, I have a bit of damage and I've stayed on the same tyres. I think I had a bit of damage and I've stayed on the same tyres, but what the hell do I know?
I think it's about 16 seconds for a tyre change on any of these cars. So, I mean,
there's no way he was in for that long. It was about 8-9 seconds from my rough estimate. It could have been possibly 10 on the outside, but it certainly was not 16 seconds, because he gained time over Roy big time from it. Well, the time that he lost to Roy didn't equate to that much, is what I meant, from the other way around. So, I mean, again, Roy's given himself half a chance, but his lap times won't be anywhere near these two. I mean, Kyle's still ramming out 42 and a half.
Yeah, I mean, if Kyle can just do that, K9 can just do that, race
these two are quicker. I mean, these two are still quicker. They're reining in that gap. But again, it's... What are we now? 9.5 minutes. I just couldn't see the time in there. Yeah, so they're both a second faster a lap than him, if not slightly more. I mean, let's go off Kenny, because Kenny's the one that Matsuti.
Oh, Matsuti!
He's just blown it, hasn't
he? I've just heard him having a moment. So Roy's going to come past him.
He's caught the curb, I think. It's just out of shot, but it's just out of shot. But I think he's touched the curb with his rear left, and he's held it, which gives Roy the chance to get past him. But I think Matsucic on the fresher tyres will have the better grip. He might not take him at this corner, but he might have. Yeah, he has. He's got much better grip. You can see that.
But if I was Roy, I wouldn't back down like that. He's just outbraked himself, but
that's your
he's
tyres.
still on track. So
yeah, that's your tyres. That's.
I would have done exactly the same as Roy. I wouldn't have backed down. I would have fought for that position.
Well, no, he's going to beat you.
Yeah, Matsucci possibly could have had dirty tyres, so it could have been a very similar situation, both going into that corner.
True. So but that's the difference that a new set of boots does. Well, I know they're not new, but they're newer. Roy's on, tyres that have done like 28, 29 laps, whereas Carlo's on tyres that have done, 10 laps? So,
somewhere around there,
even if they were both, I mean, Roy's obviously managed those tyres very, very well, as Kyle, because Kyle's doing 42.4. So obviously the car is lighter, so the lap times are going to get better. But even so, the tyres, in theory, are nowhere near as good. So it's still, no mean feat to be carrying this off.
Yeah.
But
I just want to say to the viewers, obviously we use the names of the people that we know, which, I mean...
might be misleading to you guys.
Yeah, you probably picked it all up.
Matsucic then had a wobble, sorry. He just had a wobble then, but he held it. Go on,
so
sorry.
I just want to run through if anyone's watching, the kind of like, who's this Kyle? K9 is Kyle. Kenny, obviously Kenny.
No, never.
Matsucic is actually Carlo, so we might refer to him as that. But I think generally we do refer to him as Matsucic.
Yeah, we do a lot of the time.
Brock is Roy, and G32 is Tony. So just to try and clear anything up.
Ratek is Mark, and Motormouth is Scott. But hey,
Scott,
yeah, we get called all sorts of names anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
It's just we forget to use the PlayStation name for any viewers that are watching it, and obviously
he's lost it. He's lost it.
He's run wide again, so Roy hasn't been able to compromise on that. Which
that's where I think the tyres. That's why I think the tyres he ran wide as well. Though he followed him a little bit, so I don't think he got the gains he would have liked. But I don't think he's got the tyres to make the gains again. It'd be interesting to see. Oh, he's gone again.
If I saw that, if I was Roy and I saw what was happening to Matsucic, I would be putting my lights on and just applying that. I know it's only lights, but it just applies that pressure. Matsucic's diving for the pits.
What? Unless he did not change tyres last time and they've gone, he might have flat spotted them for all the spins.
I don't know. I mean, like, he's got enough fuel.
He's in fourth already. He's in fourth already, isn't he? You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking, you know what, my tyres are knackered. I'm fourth already. I can't get it back. So,
but I think he's going to get done by G32 here, Tony.
I think he's going to hedge his bets and think that he can get back at Tony inside 3 laps. I think that's what he's going to think, because Tony's just coming round the final corner now. They're going to be close coming out. Tony might come out in fourth, but
Matsucci isn't moving yet, and Tony's coming well past him.
He isn't. Tony's probably Tony's past him now. But I think Matsucic probably thinks I'm 3 or 4 seconds a lap faster than this guy. And again, I mean this with no disrespect to Tony on that one. But again...
Still not moving. He's just coming out now. So
that's been a full set of tyres.
Change. Yeah.
That's definitely tyres, and there's possibly a little bit of damage in there as well. Because that's longer.
You could see him struggling.
Yeah, it just seemed weird.
So he's really burnt his tyres up with Kenny, battling with Kenny, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, we can surmise that. I mean, it's the only thing that seems to make sense, because when he did have his spins, they weren't spins per se, but the worst he could have done was flat spotted his tyres. So now Kenny's Kyle's got Kenny in his rear view now, but he should hold on. That's what I thought.
I was going to say. I mean, for me in that position, I'd be looking back. That car doesn't bother me.
No, not yet.
Bit, you know what I mean?
Not yet.
No.
You look at those times. You look at those relative times.
You look up at the screen and you see it's Kenny. Yeah, that bothers me. But
But you know he's only a second faster.
Yeah, the distance, I'm just like, I'm not bothered with that. Where's the next apex? Where's the next apex? And just banging that in.
I just think if I'm still rapping out, put it this way, he could still rap out 43s for the next 2 laps and win the race. Because even if Kenny gained Kenny's a second a lap faster, which is kind of where I was alluding to before, where he had the 30 seconds. I was assuming he would have had as he goes wide. Yeah, well, those tyres might be struggling a little bit now. But
he just needs to avoid that. Yeah, he just keep it on track and keep the momentum going, isn't it?
Stay on the black stuff and bring it home, I think, is what they've been telling him. Don't ruin all the good work you've done so far. No, in truth, you would, wouldn't you? You would.
To be fair, you feel like taking the cameras off him and not
just leave him alone.
Courtesy,
but
I think it's on circuit racing. It's been a while since K9 has had a win in championship kind of format.
What's this lap? He will have lost a little, but it won't be terrible, I don't think. There you go. Still.
No, it's 142.9. Yeah, still decent. Yeah.
What's Kenny going to put down?
Kenny.
Excuse me.
I swear, Kenny drops
41.7. So he's a tad slower than he was previously. So he's gaining, but he's not gaining enough.
No.
Because there's going to be one more lap after this. There'll be 34 laps, because by the time Kyle comes back round, there'll be less than a minute. So it'll be into a lap. You'll be halfway round when the clock zeros. So he'll just have half a lap to nurse it home, which is plenty enough. So, like I say, I really want to know if he's followed what I said. Because it works. I love it when I have an idea and it works to fruition. Whether it's right or not is another thing, but it works. But it works. See, Matsucic now, he's left himself way too much to do. Look at him.
Still having a moment, man. Yeah, just join him, and he's.
Yeah, but he's probably thrashing. He's probably trying to thrash the you-know-what off it now, and actually becoming. He's got. If he has got new boots on, then they're going to take a lap or two to bed in anyway. So you go around like that, you are going to lose traction. Goes without saying. But I don't know why he didn't stay out. Even if they were a bit knackered, and it looked like he was struggling, to be fair. But the amount of gap he had between him and G32, Tony, surely that was worth the gamble.
Big false end moment, yeah.
Yeah. What's the worst that's going to happen? The worst that's going to happen is you're going to finish 5th. Had he stayed out. So, and that's where he's finished. He guaranteed himself 5th place by pitting, in my opinion.
I think it's happened to me many a times is where you're in a situation and you go in and you get new boots and then you come out and you drive too aggressive.
Yeah, because he's working his you-know-what off to try and get back.
Yeah.
And it's too big a gap. You can't do it.
Trying to get as much lap time as he can.
And he's got no chance of bedding those tyres in. That's why this is happening. He's not bedding anything in.
Another thing that you've highlighted before is these cars are ideally kind of situated with a full fuel load.
Yeah, they run
Everyone's
good heavy.
getting down to a light fuel load now, so you haven't got as much traction into the tarmac, have you?
Exactly. The balance is that Kyle coming round to the last corner?
He's not.
No, he's not. No, he's halfway round. Yeah. So it'll zero out to. Yeah, it's just, I thought it would have been about halfway when he zeroed, but he's gone a bit further than that. But like I say, Kenny's brought the gap down, which is what he was always going to do.
But it was he's only took a second out of him on this lap.
And that was the thing, with 30 seconds left, I mean, my workings out were if Kenny, with the 30 seconds, was able to take a second and a half a lap out, with 14 laps remaining, which we are, I think we're going to be 13 laps. We're a lap less than what I thought. Because, we were on lap 21 when I said it, so there were 13 left, not 14. So he's brought the gap down to he's dropped it down from 20 odd, nearly 30 seconds. Oh no, it was about 32, wasn't it? There you go.
So yeah, race complete. Congratulations.
So he brought it down by 27 seconds, but it wasn't enough. The strategy worked. So congratulations at commentary car. Keep up the good work. Don't put any pressure on me.
Savage Racing there take a 1-2, so for the overall team points,
happy
that's
days.
A very strong result for them. Roy, very respectful, holds it into third place.
Yeah, he's done okay there. Getting a second and a third, I think he's done quite well. And in all fairness for G32, for Tony coming in fourth, which he's obviously going to do.
He's going to be happy with that.
Yeah, because again, without being disrespectful, I think he would probably expect to be fifth out of this 5. If it all went to form, to straight out pace, but again, what Tony proves, and I know this because I've known him long enough, and I know how he likes to fit into a car. It takes him a little bit of time to get some symmetry with any vehicle. He likes to go in, he likes to have a go with it, get used to it, and he'll improve as the race goes on, which is what you've seen in every single race so far, unless he has a bit of a disaster. See, look at Matsutsik's lap times. He's not been able to... I don't know what's happened with those tyres. I don't know what he's done. Oh, at least he's still flashing his lights. He's still happy enough.
Yeah, he's still out there and enjoying it, which is the main thing.
See, Matsutsik has got... Oh, no, he hasn't. Kenny nicked the fastest lap, 2:26. But look at Matsutsik's lap time, 41.259. The second fastest on track by quite some distance, but he's finished last. And the guy with the slowest best lap time, which still at 1:44.4 is no mean feat, because I'd do well to match or beat that, I think, in this car. That might be the slowest car, but he still finished 20 seconds ahead of the guy who was the second fastest. So speed doesn't mean everything.
No, that's what I mean. It's consistency, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
a lot to be said for that.
Pit strategy as well. That plays a lot. I mean, obviously, there Matsusi had to dive for the pits again, and
that kind of put paid to him.
Yeah, it's cost him a lot of time there, hasn't it? But
interesting to know how much of that was down to the battling at the time, possibly with Kyle at the time, and then battling with Kenny or whatever, and how much that's taken out of his tyres as he just burned them out. I don't know. Again, it'd be lovely to have that info. Then at least we would know rather than be guessing. But hey, it's fun to do this. I mean, they do this on Sky News all day for the American election, don't they? What if they did this? What if they did that? And if they did this and he did that and he did this and that, then it'd be everything, wouldn't it?
I think that's what commentary is all about, isn't
it? Definitely.
Guessing. So,
I'm going to ask this question. I'm going to ask this question now to our winner, who's just joined us in the booth here with his bottle of Mum's champagne and his bunch of flowers. I'm going to ask you a question. All right, if you watch this stream later on, you'll see what I say. But what I thought you were going to do is go in, not change your tyres, come out with 30 seconds to spare on Kenny, and hope to run it down to the end of the race, in which case I reckoned he would take a second to a second and a half out of you, so he'd be within 10 seconds of you. Which kind of bore out, but I don't know whether what I said is true.
No, so I changed all my tyres.
Balls.
Decided to play it safe because I had quite a gap on him. And I thought, you know what, let me just... I knew that I would come out behind Roy, but my worry at that time was actually Matsutsi. I didn't know where he would be when I came out.
Yeah, well, that's what we said. You were looking... The real thing was to look at Matsutsi and Kenny.
Yeah,
really.
So it was a good strategy though by the guys. I mean, hats off to Kenny. He must have been consistently doing 141s. I mean,
he was.
That's some serious pace. So that big mistake at the start, and he was a lap or two more, he would have got me. He was definitely.
Well, the rest of my strategy bore out. The rest of my strategy kind of bore out. So was the tyre change only about 8 seconds then in this car? It must have been, because I was timing everyone's pit stop.
It was pretty quick.
Yeah. So that's where I got it wrong.
I just spoke to Kenny after the race. He actually had a mistake happen in the pits, so it took a bit longer for him than
we thought it was a bit of damage or something, because we watched everybody in the pits.
He had some suspension damage, but he also had like a sticky tire. The tire wouldn't come off. So I think lucky for me, not so lucky for him, but that was some serious pace he had. And,
but we thought it was going to be close. Okay, the reason behind the strategy was a bit wrong because I thought that we both thought tyres were about 16 seconds. That's why we thought. But had we known they were 8 seconds, then we would have known that a bit better. But
to be fair, even Roy had a pretty good strategy.
Yeah, he did.
In third, because he left it late. And I was pushing to catch him, so it was a good one because it makes you like push a bit hard, and then you make a couple of mistakes. But at the same time, I was looking where Matsutsi and Kenny were because I knew they were quick. So
it was a really good race. In truth, considering we only had 5 people, it was a good race. I mean, Tony must be happy as a pig in poop. I mean, again, look at the lap times. I've saved the race replay, by the way. Looking at the lap times, Tony's is the worst best lap. And again, I don't mean that disrespectfully. The worst best lap is 144.4. Which is pretty good. Which is not bad at all. Roy's was 143.4. And then obviously yourself, Kenny, and Carlo have all done 41s. Kenny and Carlo both did 41.2s. You just crept into the 41s there. But, I mean, they were pushing. And I'm assuming that Carlo murdered his tyres because he had a couple of spins, and I'm thinking flat spotted him.
He was quick. I had a good battle with Carlo for a bit. I was worried. I went a bit defensive.
Yeah. But he lost it then, which gave you... he lost it then trying to... After he did the undercut and everything, because he tried to undercut you, and after he did all that, I think he was fighting too hard to try and make the time back. And that's what killed him, I think, in the end. But when you were battling with him, it was good.
I was hoping that him and Kenny were going to end up battling when I went in the pits.
Well, they did a bit. They did a bit, and it did help you. Only to about 2 or 3 seconds at that time, but it did help you because at one point they got within the timing screen came down to like 5-6 seconds, and then you pushed it out when you had the clean air and they didn't. You pushed the gap out, and invariably that's what probably gave you the win. That and his mistake is probably the difference. But that's what it's all about, isn't it?
I had a battle with Roy at the start. I had a battle with Matsutsi, and then it was a race for time at the end with Kenny.
That's what I mean. It worked out really, really well, I thought. The way that the race panned out the way that we thought for different reasons, but it panned out the way that we thought. So it was good. It was really good fun. I don't know, obviously, what happened to Ali. I'm not sure whether he was the one that caught the back of Tony.
There was a crash. There was a crash at the start in front of me because I was near the back, and I think Ali got ahead of me off the start line. And then he went into the back of Tony, I think.
Yeah, it was. So he might have had damage from that. But I mean, it said on mine that left the session, but I think it said on Mark's that he disconnected. So we just saw him basically go off really, really wide.
I think he had some damage. I think
that's what I think. That's what I think. But which is a shame. But it was a good race. It was really enjoyable, and I hope everybody enjoyed it as much as we did. A happy note. Considering it's been bonfire night, this is the first time I'm going to mention it. But things did go with a bang this evening. So, and there were no Catherine wheels and no Roman candles and no supersonic bangs. But I'm sure it was a bit of an air bomb to watch. So, hope you all enjoyed it. We'll see you next week. Same time, not the same place, but the same people, but in a different order. Anyway, from him, me, and you, ta-da.